What we try to do is reach every student with wherever they're at, with whatever needs they have. So we might have drumming and singing over here, and then over here we might have tutoring happening, and then over here we have parents that are, working to mobilize around some issue in one of their schools.
This is Hourglass, the podcast for United Way of King County in Seattle. Coming up, a conversation with members of Urban Native Education Alliance, a Seattle-based organization that immerses generations of Indigenous youth in education, culture, and tradition. United Way is proud to support Urban Native Education Alliance and how it spends its time keeping Indigenous youth active in programs that foster health and wellness and engaged in activities that promote social justice. I'm your host, Joe Burris. Thanks for tuning in. Here's a question for all the parents out there. How much physical activity do your children get each day? Both the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention and the American Heart Association say that children and adolescents ages 6 through 17 need to be physically active for at least 60 minutes every day. But according to a 2022 study published in the peer-reviewed journal Temperature, today's children worldwide are 30% less fit than their parents were at the same age. Those findings mirror a 2013 University of South Australia study that blames the soaring number of global households with TVs, computers, internet access, and video games since the 1970s. But you need not preach the importance of youth physical activity to the folks at Urban Native Education Alliance, or UNEA. Founded in 2008 and currently based at North Seattle College, UNEA keeps Indigenous youth moving with a holistic approach to learning. Whether it's drumming, playing basketball, participating in a community service project, or taking part in marches or demonstrations, UNEA makes being active a normal, regular part of an Indigenous youth's day. Now, kids being kids, these youth undoubtedly find time for video games and social media. But UNEA makes sure they find time for programs designed by youth for youth to help foster self-advocacy, stewardship, cultural awareness, and college preparation. UNEA is a member of Seattle Urban Native Nonprofits, a coalition of 12 Indigenous organizations that receives unrestricted grants from United Way of King County as part of our Indigenous Communities Fund. United Way launched the fund in 2020 to address COVID-19's impact on the county's Indigenous people, and organizations like UNEA use the funding to better serve their communities. United Way recently sat down with UNEA founder and co-chair Sarah Sense Wilson and UW student Kayla Harstad, who once played basketball at UNEA and is now its Special Projects intern. Here's what they had to say about UNEA's origins and its impact.
Han Ampetu Washte Matakiapi, Sarah Sense Wilson, Koki Papeye, Imachi Apie, Ma Oglala Lakota. Good afternoon. My name is Sarah Sense Wilson. I am co-founder of the Urban Native Education Alliance. I also serve as chair and function mostly as a volunteer coordinator, project manager, grant overseer, and kind of all around, floater for our organization. And UNEA, our birth story really comes from the youth. Seattle Clear Sky Native Youth Council was the first group of young people that came together to say, hey, we want something in Seattle that represents us. We want to have a place for youth to come together and connect and to grow together and to community organize. And so it was our youth that really developed and grew the organization of UNEA. And so UNEA, over time, many of us were the parents, were the volunteers, were the community leaders of supporting Clear Sky. And so as we began to coalesce around the issues of Indian education and the inequities and the disparities and the many challenges that we were noticing, experiencing within the Seattle Public Schools, we organized ourselves to address those issues. And so forming an organization was the next steps. And so UNEA really grew from a movement of educational equity. And then from there, we enveloped the Seattle Clear Sky with their permission. And I don't want to say we co-opted, but we enveloped, and it was absolutely with the permission of the students. And so as an umbrella organization, we have multiple programs that are part of UNEA. And then we also are doing direct services through Clear Sky Academy, through Native Warrior Athletics, through our internship, and then we do special events throughout the year.
Tell me a little bit about Clear Sky.
Mm-hmm. So Clear Sky is primarily a tutoring and mentorship and special events. And we meet every Tuesday, every Thursday, and we have tutoring, we have cultural activities, we have mentors, and we feed everybody, and we try to keep it interesting and academic focused at the same time. So any given night we might have 3 different activities happening at once. And it can be a little chaotic for those who maybe aren't used to that kind of format, but what we try to do is reach every student with wherever they're at, with whatever needs they have. So we might have drumming and singing over here, and then over here we might have tutoring happening, and then over here we have parents that are, working to mobilize around some issue in one of their schools.
What is your reach? Where do the young people come from?
I would say the areas we reach is also the greater Seattle area. We have people coming from Muckleshoot, people coming from Everett, people coming from Shoreline, North Seattle. We had people from Tulalip. So I feel like we're reaching everybody.
Mm-hmm. And what is your involvement? How did you get introduced to it?
So I used to be a part of the Native Warrior Athletics program when I was younger, and then I kind of grew out of it and took a little break. And then when I was a sophomore in high school, I got involved with the Clear Sky Leadership Council. And then since then, I've been a part of the Youth Council. Right now, I'm a student at the University of Washington, studying political science and American Indian Studies, but I'm also serving as a special projects intern for UNEA. And so I've loved it ever since. I can't leave. I've been involved for a long time, and I continue to want to serve my Native community as much as I can. I think it kind of just goes to show how useful and successful UNEA is with higher education, that I could be a student in high school who my family also struggled in poverty and with boarding school trauma. And so I'm an example of being able to pursue higher education because of UNEA and the opportunities and resources they provided.
So now, what sport were you involved in?
We did the basketball program. So a long time ago, we were able to go to tournaments in the Squally, and then through them, as I was done, I just got back involved in their leadership academy.
Okay. What position?
Oh, forward.
Power forward.
And who were some of your idols?
Probably Kobe, and then Candace Parker for sure. Those are the 2 people that I definitely look up to. Okay.
So you kind of patterned your game a little bit after theirs.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure. We actually went to UNEA provided tickets to go see Storms, and we get to play, or we get to watch people play. So we met Candace a lot. Really cool opportunities we get to have.
It's great, really, that your emphasis, particularly at a time when young people are not really geared as much toward physical education as they should be. You just think of just how important it is for kids to be involved in physical activity.
I think UNEA, we really take a holistic approach with the work we do. So like Kayla is a testament to that. I think Kayla also is one of those young people that, given opportunities, she runs with it and has benefited tremendously, and is like such a great example of when youth take advantage of those opportunities made available. But we do, the whole mind, body, spirit, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual. So we do sweat lodge ceremonies. We smudge, we do brushing off ceremonies. We do, prayer and blessing ceremonies. We do, just a lot of learning about culture, and drumming and singing in itself is sacred and is ceremony. And so like our students, they know probably about 8 different songs, not, all perfect, but that's a lot, and when we travel and when we go to different communities, it's really interesting because like I try to tell our youth, like, you guys are advanced. You're advanced in a lot of what you're learning. When you go to different communities, you're going to see that, and it happens, and Clear Sky and UNEA, our youth are called on a lot within Seattle area to represent youth, Indigenous youth, and at City Hall for like Indigenous People Day. It's our youth that have been opening, with offering that their statements, and different community events. Like there was a vigil for next Benedict, who was a Two-Spirit Indigenous young person that passed away in Oklahoma after being assaulted. And so our community organized a vigil, and our youth were there, and they sang and offered prayer song. And so showing up is like what we try to instill in our youth, the importance of showing up and supporting in that allyship, and recognizing just how important it is as political beings that we have a presence, and that, we stand for something. We have values, we have ethics, we have belief systems and traditional knowledge systems that tell us and teach us to do the right thing and move us in the direction of social justice.
And so where do you see UNEA headed? What would you like for it to be?
This is our next leadership. So I think that's a good question for her too.
Well, hopefully we have a Native charter school soon, which is all Native based. So that's our goal, big, long time goal. I think just like making sure our youth have higher education opportunities and resources to see them succeed, not only inside the classroom, but outside of the classroom. I think just having support and resources for our whole program as a whole, where we are able to have partnerships with other communities that can help build our program.
We continue to envision and look at the possibility of a high school. And right now we actually are offering high school credit for Clear Sky Academy. Actually, Clear Sky Academy, which is an offshoot of Clear Sky, and through our internship.
Tell me a little bit about that accredited program.
Do you want to talk about the internship and then?
So the Clear Sky internship is from 14 to 18-year-olds, and we work on public speaking, leadership building. We learn more about cultural protocol, and we do a lot of advocacy work in our community. So there's about 14 of our youth who are from 4 different Seattle public school districts, and we come together and meet weekly, and we talk about pressing tribal issues, but also issues just in our community as a whole.
How about altogether, about how many young people are involved in UNEA in a given year?
Oh, in a given year, I would say over 500 in a given year, because we do our special events, but our like Clear Sky Academy and our internship, those are more high concentrated effort in leading those students.
Talk about being a part of Seattle Urban Native Nonprofits.
Yeah, Seattle Urban Native Nonprofits is an amazing collaborative. I love being part of that group where our leadership is, we engage in important conversations, we mobilize around issues that are emerging and important in the community. It's opportunity for us to share collectively about what projects we're doing, where we need support, where we need help. There's been different interruptions throughout the process. And so it's been a learning process for us too. One of my highlights of Sun is when we did the mayoral candidates forum. And that was such a huge highlight because our youth had the opportunity to craft several questions around education. And those questions were used in the candidates forum. And I thought the questions were beautifully crafted and gave a lot of insight into the lack of knowledge or thereof of the candidates that were running for mayor. And so that was, in particular for me, that was a big highlight, and I really enjoyed being part of that process.
And then lastly, what are some events, thinking all the way through the summer? What are some events that you have going on this year?
I feel like we don't ever get a break. We don't really have a downtime. In the old days, we used to not do anything really during the summer other than one basketball camp. But as the need has grown and the interest and the funding, we've been able to continue programming through the summer. So we have the wellness retreat that's April 12th and 13th. And ever since King County declared racism as a public health crisis, I think that it opened the conversation for how do we provide more wellness opportunities for our people of color and for our Indigenous urban Indians that have higher rates of everything. A place and a space dedicated for coming together for healing and for traditional practices and learning. That's coming up quick. And then we'll have our rite of passage graduation ceremony, which is my favorite because it's the opportunity to see our kids, cross the threshold of, being high school into the next phase of life. That's in June. And then we'll have our Billy Mills Fun Run Walk event, and that'll be August 25th. And that's open, to the community. It's a diabetes prevention, suicide prevention focus, and back to school event. And then we will also, in between there, have a University of Washington Mentorship Day. And that last year we had how many, 18 young people?
More.
Or maybe it was more. It was a lot of fun. We spent a whole day on campus. We went to the University of Washington Native Law Department. We went to the Burke Museum. We went, what's it called? 7 Directions Health program. I mean, there's so many resources now at the UW campus today that are Native specific versus when I was there. Oh. And so it's like a whole different world. It's exciting. I'm learning. And but the main point of it is a lot of our students have never been on campus. They grew up in Seattle. They've never been on UW campus. And to me, when you're physically on the grounds of higher education, you start to realize and envision yourself being there as a student, not just as a visitor. And to me, that's so important because it's public education. Every one of our kids has a right and should have free access to higher education. And I deeply believe that. And for me, I know I was privileged. I grew up running around UW campus because my mom was a teacher. She was an advisor. She was a mentor to many. And so I grew up just kind of that was kind of normal. And I'm an alumni of UW too. So I, not that I'm pushing UW only, because North Seattle College also has wonderful opportunities. Whatever, route our students go, maybe it might be an internship around learning how to cedar weave or learning the Shutsi language, like those are equally valuable. And, but I also want our kids to know that you have a right to higher education, and we're here to help you along the way.
Perfect. Sarah and Kayla, Urban Native Education Alliance, thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you. Doksha Ki.
Thank you.
To learn more about UNEA, log on to urbannativeeducation.org. United Way of King County partners with local organizations to help combat food insecurity. Among those organizations is the Des Moines Area Food Bank, which has served communities in Des Moines, SeaTac, and Kent since 1966. Families and individuals are invited once a month to shop at the food bank's full service room, which offers nutritious canned, dry, frozen, and fresh items. The food bank's bread and produce room is open Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. For more information, log on to myfoodbank.org. And be sure to join our virtual event, Conversations for Change, Housing Stability, on May 29th at 11:45 a.m. We will delve into King County's housing ecosystem and share more about how we're coming together to help people overcome barriers to access and retain housing. For more information, log on to uwkc.org/events. At United Way of King County, we are working side by side with communities to build an equitable future for everyone. Hourglass United Way is a podcast that highlights how we and our partners spend time making a difference in our communities. Our work is made possible by the generous donations from people like you. Please send comments and suggestions about our podcast to hourglassunitedway@gmail.com. To learn more about our work or to support United Way, log on to uwkc.org. I'm your host, Joe Burris. Thanks for listening. Until next time.